I think this is going to open on the proper monitor, but I'm not 100%. I'm guessing by the fact it just went black that it definitely is actually opening on the proper monitor. Cool. I'm in a little bit of pain tonight. A little bit more than usual. I don't quite know why. Holy fuck, I keep forgetting just how loud that is. I should be able to keep this at 40 and be able to still... I hate it when it does this. I hate it that it does this. It's half of why I can't use a controller. Okay, let's fix that config. Sound is way too loud. Not too much, just the usual. My back hurts. It always hurts. I mean, every part of me always hurts, so there's that, but... I think that saved. We're gonna check to make sure. Yeah, it did. Okay. Pre-warning Archie, this stream will contain spoilers for Chaos Head, so if you like reading visual novels and want to read Chaos Head, might not be the best idea. And it also will probably be disturbing. Almost definitely will it be disturbing at some point. So, that's kind of how this series goes. Alright, sounds good, my dude. Load. Wait, is that right? Yes, because we were trying to determine if I want which one I wanted to do at the same time as we were trying to figure out what voice we wanted to give her. It's alright, I can handle anything. Fair enough. Just telling you, the opening of this game, within the first 5 minutes, someone ate their own arm. So... And within the first 15 minutes of the first game, the main character poisoned his own sister and stared at her panties as she choked on her own blood. So... It's definitely not for the faint-hearted. I got the ratios right tonight. Yes. Maybe a little bit too much lemon, but not by enough that I care. Hold on. She was about to say something when her foot caught on one of the cables running across the room. Oh, well, this is, different. Yeah. Ah. And she suddenly tripped. Trigger on. Watch out! I moved quickly. She staggered forward, but I grabbed her to keep her from falling. Be careful. Her hair flew up and tickled my nose. It smelled good. And her body was soft. Extremely soft, in fact. It felt kind of squeezable. What was I touching? Was any part of a person's body this soft? No, at least nothing on a man's body was. No. Ow. Which meant, what was the softness? Miyashio, you're the bravest man I've ever met. Grabbing the Empress's boobs in front of all these people. Boobs? Oh no. This was an accident. An accident! Are you Corpse's brother? Oh my god, dude, that is like such a big fucking compliment. You don't even fucking know. Ugh. Corpse Husband Stories is actually one of the inspirations on me starting to do voice acting, so... If that ever actually happened, she would kill me, for sure. Just thinking about it made my blood run cold. She almost tripped, but managed to keep her balance. Oh, why is she so cute? Ooh. I feel sad looking at her. She makes me think of Klee. And have massive armor. Yeah, she does. She has some tiggle bitties. She smiled a bit and took a deep breath. Earthquake milk jugs, yeah. All the students around her, boys and girls alike, began to move. They surrounded her as if they were welcoming a long-lost family member.
Hey, who put this cable here? That's dangerous. No, I'm sorry.
Empress, you okay?
Yeah, don't worry about me.
She answered them with a smile. I felt like our eyes met. Alright, sounds good, Archie. We'll see you when you get back. I looked away without thinking. Kurusu no. The fact that her name is Kurusu is just... What are they doing to me at this point? The first student council president of Hakiho Academy. Is that supposed to be first year student council president? Because... Oh, wait, no. Hakiho literally just opened as a school, didn't it? After the earthquake. That was the story that's going on. Okay.
Hey, so for our cafe, we've got the kitchen and then the other part. What do you call it, where the customers sit?
Kurusu smiled a little as she spoke.
You mean the hall? Yeah, the hall. Did Mr. Wacky adjust the number of curtains we've got to partition the two? Adjust? Did Mr. Wakui say he was going to do that, Masuda? You hadn't heard? Nope, which means he definitely didn't do it. Fine, I'll talk to him. You sure? The teachers seem to have their eye on you, Empress. Actually, they seem scared of you. The student council president's job is to make the teacher's life difficult for the benefit of the students. Don't worry, I'll use what little power I've got. Oh, and Masuda, stop calling me Empress. Thanks, Empress. Now listen, you.
Most of the boys in the class called Kurusu Empress as a joke. She'd gotten the name after becoming a hero to her fellow out students through gallant deeds like putting an end to the principal's endless homeroom speeches. Not to mention bringing more types of bread to the school store, which, I mean, definitely makes her a hero, to be fair. There's gotta be a solution to this. What if I do... Oop, that was an accident. What the hell? How did I even do that?
Thanks for the concern. For the costume, no, it was a perfect fit. Tanaka, when I wore that, I couldn't get the zipper all the way up.
So Tanaka's boobs are smaller than No-No's. Also, this name. I can't even deal with this name.
Oh, should I get my mouth shut? I can stop you guys from doing any advertising, you know.
Ooh, she gets cold. I like it. Those eyes. Sign me the fuck up. Step on me, mommy.
I'm sorry, it was a joke. You're just fine, I mean it. And wait, it probably got stuck on your breast anyway, didn't it? It was a joke. I'm counting on you, okay? Get lots of...
Wait, I think that was the wrong voice.
It was a joke. I'm counting on you, okay? Get lots of laughs.
She sure was popular. She even knew the names of students in other classes. The top of the school caste system. That was the first phrase that came to mind. And then...
Takeru, we need to talk. Can you come with me?
Kurusu walked all the way over to me and Ito. Her expression was so kind, it seemed like she had to be putting on some kind of act. I could see that all the people who had been surrounding her were staring at me.
What does the Empress want with the camera kids? Are they friends? What, you didn't know? No is... seriously?
I ignored my classmates' whispers and focused on Kurusu. Her smile seemed fake, as if it had been plastered onto her face. Whenever she smiled like that, it meant she wasn't in a good mood. Sorry, I can't now. I just figured out something about the case and I'm putting it together. God damn. If someone has some extra time on their hands and wants to find me the name of the artist who did the character sprite art for this game, I mean, I don't think I could pay their rates, but god damn if I wouldn't love to have them do Isa's art. This is like exactly what I need, is this art style. The student council's really busy with the culture festival right now, right? So once it's calmed down, Kurusu. Her cheeks twitched a little. Crap. Kurusu didn't like it when I called her by her last name.
Can you come with me to the club room really quick?
Uh-oh. I could sense a dark aura forming around her, hardly befitting a so-called empress.
Can you?
She was so close to me.
Let's go to the club room. That cool with you, Miyashiro?
Ito couldn't handle the terror. It didn't look like I could talk my way out of this one. Seeing no other choice, I nodded and stood up.
Kurusu?
Gah. Who's this dude? Is he important enough for me to have a voice for him? He has a sprite, which implies he's going to be more consistent than the other kids, but... Kurusu, you got a second? He just show up again, so giving him a voice is probably a good idea. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Is this about the portable stoves for all the food stalls on the field? We decided that every stall gets one.
Huh? But that's... okay.
Sorry, no exceptions. I spoke to the principal, but I couldn't get him to change his mind. If any of the bigger groups are still upset, I'll go talk to them myself.
Roger, I mean, wait. Why aren't you where you're supposed to be? Kurusu, I told you that if you're busy, we can do this later.
I'm done. Sorry, Kawahara. I'm in a hurry right now.
Her tone was gentle but brooked no argument as she hurried to the club room. Miyashiro, you again? What did you do this time? Kawahara cut her off. I didn't know his first name. He was in the same class as Ito and I, and he was the vice president of the student council. No, you don't need to tell me. You were pretending to be a reporter again, right? Or was it a detective? I knew why he was giving me a hard time. He didn't like the fact that Kurusu was spending time with me. It's not, Oh yeah, I need to, shit, no. How do I... Fuck it, I'll just use the mouse. What? It's not any of your business, I think. It is my business. When you take up Kurusu's time, you cause trouble for me and the rest of the student council. I'm not wasting my time with this. There's no point. I tried to ignore him and just walk on by. So I heard you skipped most of elementary school and middle school. Is that true? I could feel my legs tense up. I stopped. My face got hot, and without thinking, I glared accusingly at Kurusu. She quickly shook her head.
Kawahara, I'm really in a hurry right now.
But he kept on staring at me. I felt like he was grinning a little. It pissed me off. He doesn't look like he's grinning, not even a little. But there was nothing I could say. I did the best I could to ignore him and turn away. I ignored what sounded like a little laugh and hurried to the club room.
It wasn't me, okay?
The second the three of us were alone in the club room, her expression changed. The smile plastered on the student council president's face disappeared. Also, I googled it and the sprite artist for this game is Mutsumi Sasaki, apparently the same guy who did the sprite art for Chaos Ed. Really? How many years apart were these games released? Because I feel like that's a major uptick in quality between the two games. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen Chase do that overnight, but that's not the point. Make sure everything's working properly. Just trying to get my second chat open because I've had weird problems with Twitch today. There it is. Up. There we go. Yeah, 5 years definitely makes sense. This was who she really was. What wasn't?
What Kawahara was saying, I didn't tell him, okay?
It didn't bother me.
You're lying.
Really, it didn't. Everything about me was different than it used to be.
So what is it? Did you want to talk about something, Miss Vice President of the newspaper club?
Kurusu sighed and changed the subject.
Takaru, are you eating right? You look like you've lost weight.
Huh? Where was this coming from?
It's going to start getting colder soon, you know. Can you keep warm in the place you're living in?
Ugh. Crap, she was in nag mode. I love her. Can she please be true end? I don't want pink-haired girl. I love this girl. She's perfect.
And I heard you told the teachers you were going to get a job after graduation. I told you to say you were going to college. It's not like you aren't smart enough. I know it's going to be hard for you to start now, but I've told you before that I can help.
Did you go asking the teachers? And wait, is that what you wanted to talk about?
Well, are you eating right?
I'm eating just fine. Everything's just fine. I waved my hand to bring the conversation to a close. I didn't want this to end the way it used to, with a 6-hour lecture about how every aspect of my life was wrong, following by hard labor as my punishment. Kurusu looked like she still had a lot of more to say, but a moment later...
You skipped school last Friday, didn't you?
Huh? Oh, so that was what this was all about. Yeah, I did. Is that a problem?
Of course it's a problem. Where were you? You were taking those photos you upped to the storage folder, weren't you?
Damn it, I figured that would be it. She was right. The pictures I'd taken from the karaoke box were from last Friday when I'd skipped school. I started staking out the place early that morning and waited for the manager of the condo building to open the curtains. It was a lot of work, but I was able to get photos of the scene that nobody else has except the police.
I've told you before that you need to stop spending all your time on this stuff.
God, she's cute. Kurusu was the vice president of the newspaper club and had been opposed to Ito's and my journalistic ethos for a long time. We'd spend most of our time investigating crimes in Shibuya. Stuff like the attacks on the homeless people that had been flooding the city ever since the earthquake. And urban legends about a company involved in the rebuilding who'd put up tons of security cameras all around the city. And a serial arson case where the culprit had never been caught. And now these strange deaths. For her part, Kurusu said that a student paper shouldn't be investigating crimes. She wrote normal, sincere articles and made normal, sincere videos. The video about the Shibuya recovery efforts that had won a prize had been mostly her work.
Takaru, you're acting really strange this time. You've never skipped school to do this stuff before, have you?
That was true. But the reason why was obvious, right? I was lucky enough to have this huge mystery right in front of me. This is worth skipping school for.
Why?
Because it's the first big thing that's happened in Shibuya since we started the newspaper club. This is a huge scoop.
Scoop?
That face was bad news. It was scary. Ito was right next to me, so I grabbed him and held him tight. Aww.
Hey, don't use me as a shield. Wait, am I a shield? And why is her face so scary?
A huge scoop? People are dead, and to you it's just a huge scoop?
No, I'm sorry. Stay away from me. I really can't handle this.
Don't push me. Wait, are you really using me as a shield? Shouldn't you get a fat guy to do that for you?
Oh crap, oh crap. That face was seriously bad news. The Empress was scary enough that she could send a demon running in terror. I'd never even met a demon either. That's just how scary she was.
Care to repeat that? Want to tell me again how all these deaths are just a huge scoop for you?
Oh. Oh shit. I needed to find some way to stop her. And then I felt the wind rush by my ears. Huh? There is a god. And at the worst possible time, the wind blew through the room. Kurusu didn't even have time to hold down her skirt. Also, why is she not wearing underwear?
Okay, here comes my serve. I've got it.
My eyes were locked with Kurusu's as I heard the sounds from the open window. I hadn't even realized it was open until then. There was a tennis court on top of the special use building. That was probably the tennis team out there. I needed to say something. Was I supposed to tell her I hadn't seen anything?
Vice President? White, huh? I guess that's just what I'd expect.
Idiot, are you trying to get yourself killed?
Does it really matter what color my underwear is right now, asshole?
I flinched at the sudden noise. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then I realized. I was sure that was the sound of Kurusu kicking the wall, or maybe the sound of her murdering Ito, but I was wrong. It was coming from deeper inside the room.
That girl, sheesh. Kazuki, are you here? Kazuki. Oh, she's got her headphones on.
Kurusu sighed and pulled off the headphones that Kazuki always wore.
I've told you before to stop hitting the wall every time something goes wrong in ISO 2.
Who's this girl? I'm assuming she's important. Because, I mean, the hair color is pretty much a dead giveaway that she's going to be a main character.
Look, you're making a dent.
Kazuki Hana. I'm assuming she is going to be... like Moeka voice? Moeka or Luca? The only first-year student at the newspaper club. But forget her, this was my chance. As Kurusu was rubbing the red marks on Kazuki's hand, I said, "Anyway, I'm gonna keep following this case. I found a clue and it might be a big one." Holy shit. Hana. Hana. Also, she has a different uniform. Is that like the first year's uniform? She has a different tie, and she has a different, what's the word I'm looking for? She doesn't have, like, the over blazer thing. Her sleeves are much wider, too. Kurusu glared at me for a moment, but...
Wow, really? Okay, I'll get ready right away. Tell me all about it. I can't wait.
Ito hurried over to the club's computer, desperate for any chance to escape his doom. I stared back to Kurusu for a moment and said, "Boot up the computer and print out the images in the storage folder."
Roger.
Ito's voice was louder than it needed to be as he turned on the computer.
No more punching the wall, okay?
Maybe she took pity on poor Ito because she didn't say anything else. But she still crossed her arms and glared at us as she leaned against the wall. She was at least going to hear me out, it looked like. Or maybe this was just her way of making sure I didn't escape.
You owe me lunch later.
Why? I don't want to.
For using me as a goddamn shield. This was 100% your fault to begin with.
I'm sorry, but you were lucky. She didn't get violent.
Huh? Violent? The vice president?
I nodded. Kurusu was the girl that everyone looked up to, but she was actually very short-tempered. It would take me more than 5 fingers, but less than 10 to count the number of times she'd slapped me hard. She's just trying to get you going. When I told him that...
Are you serious? I mean, really? Are there really teenage girls that do that stuff? That's one step short of a heist and or an esco.
Has no one ever told you that if you want to talk behind someone's back, you should do it where they can't hear you?
The almost heist didn't even bother looking at us as she spoke. I have no idea what those mean. I should look at the tips. Short for hysterical. Hysteric. Originally a term used in psychology, but here used to refer to a short-tempered person who can't control their emotions. Asco, a girl with a sadistic personality who enjoys inflicting pain on others. Extremely dangerous. Oh, I mean, so best girl. Got it. Further confirmation.
No. We just said that to someone, though, in the classroom.
I see.
And then she fell silent. She was scary as hell. I felt like if I moved, she'd kill me.
You're buying it settled. Supersized and with dessert, too. No objections.
That was 50% your fault. Actually, it was 100% Ito's fault for not keeping his mouth shut.
Hey.
What?
Did you see it? You saw it, right?
I didn't. That was a lie. Yeah. I had seen it. They were white. I don't know what delusions you guys are having. They don't exist. I glanced at Kurusu out of the corner of my eye. I guess that really was just what you'd expect. Still, I'd only gotten a glimpse. It was entirely possible I'd been mistaken. If I burned the image into my brain now, maybe the next time something like this happened, I'd be able to react more quickly. So I prayed for more good luck. If it ever did happen again, I swore I would react as a right-sider should. A right-sider wouldn't panic over something as insignificant as seeing a girl's underwear. In a situation like that, it was critical that you stay calm. When she heard Ito turn on the printer, Kazuki trotted over like she usually did. Sure. The online game addict had the best computer skills of anyone in the club. Whenever she was around, it was her job to run searches and organize the information on the PC, but...
Kazuki, we don't need you for this. I don't consider this part of our club activities.
Kazuki gave us a questioning look. Oh, yeah, that's right. Kazuki just said, like she always did, and walked away.
See, Kazuki, your hand's still red. I'll rub it some more for you.
Kazuki obediently walked toward Kurusu. Kurusu took her hands and rubbed them gently like a mother would. We're just gonna, you know, let this play. I mean, for real, though. For real, though.
That must have hurt, right? Why would you do something like that? Well, does it still hurt? Pain, pain, go away. Mayushi desu. Yeah. Kazuki, what's wrong? Why did you just hug me like that? Oh, you're such a spoiled little girl. Were you lonely because I haven't been able to come to the club for a while? Doesn't help tell me anything. Look in my eyes and answer me, okay? You must have been lonely, right? You're blushing. It's so cute. I'm sorry for making you lonely, but don't worry, I'll stay with you for the whole time today. I'm happy I get to be with you too. Does your hand still hurt? It does. Then I'll use my special charm. Kiss.
Kazuki watched with a look of ecstasy in her eyes as Kurusu softly kissed her fingers. I felt like I was seeing something I shouldn't, so I looked away.
Your fingers are so thin and pretty, Kazuki.
Hey, why are you spacing out?
Come on, we were having a good time, bruh. Also, I totally... Hold on, let me try and see if I can go back. I can't go back because it won't let me. That's not how the game works. I forgot to save at that, junction.
Miyashiro?
No, nothing. I chased the stupid idea out of my mind. Kurusu was nice to everyone, even girls like Kazuki who couldn't communicate with others. Of course, in reality, Kurusu and Kazuki had never done anything like that, and they never would. Kazuki put her headphones on and went back to the corner of the room. She started slamming keys again. I never did know how to talk to her. Actually, I felt like it had been forever since I'd even spoken to her. If you could call this a conversation, that is. She'd been a part of the newspaper club for 6 months, and all I knew about her was that she liked games, knew a lot about computers, and hated talking. In the end, Ito printed out the pictures, and I took them and went in front of the bulletin board before Kurusu changed her mind. If Kurusu was going to listen, it was probably better to start at the beginning. She didn't seem interested in the cases, but if I ignored her and it made her even madder, even using Ito as a shield wouldn't be enough to save me. There are 2 cases we're looking at right now. The first occurred on the 7th of this month during a Nikoniya livestream. It was a public suicide called the Don't Look at Me case. It happened here in Jinan. Just like you probably guessed, a man killed himself without warning during a Nikonia livestream. Strictly speaking, we don't know for sure that it's a suicide, but it sure looks like one. The dead man's name is Ootani Yuma, age 21. He was a live streamer who got quite a lot of views with some kind of fortune-telling program called Today I Learned I Can See the Future. So here's how it went down. First, Ootani gave the audience some time to ask questions. He left the camera's field of view. After that, there was the sound of someone knocking at the door. It was faint, but the mic picked it up. There's also some voices, but you can't make them out. When he came back in front of the camera, half of his right arm was missing. It was chopped up into tiny bits and sitting on top of the plate he was carrying. Then he started eating his own fingers, like he wasn't feeling any pain at all. Yeah, that was the thing that happened. Kurisu's expression changed a little. She probably hadn't known that. The suicide had been big news, but even on TV, so she'd probably seen it there, but the details had been so horrific that the news hadn't broadcasted them. Probably a good call overall. But those details could be found anywhere on the internet. It was only a matter of time before someone started putting it all together. The video itself had even started to get around. Then, after a moment, he started to scream in pain. And then he died. Evidently, the viewers thought it was some kind of gag or something at first. Hypovolemic shock. When the body loses so much blood, the heart stops working properly. That's what it said in the police report. And given the time until he collapsed, it's almost certainly right. Ito added. Ito knew more about this stuff than I did. He was a fan of bizarre murders, and he'd read 10 times as many killers' diaries and non-fiction crime books as I had. The most likely theory is that he experienced some kind of mental disorder before the suicide, but the police are supposedly looking for whoever visited the room first. They might be responsible for aiding or abetting a suicide. Or it might outright be a murder. In Japan, if you saw someone trying to kill themselves and didn't intervene, it wasn't a crime unless the police could prove you wanted them to die. But aiding in a suicide or encouraging someone to commit suicide was illegal. That meant that the police were probably looking for whoever met Ootani just before his death. Kurisu was silent, but she was looking at the board and seemed to be listening. It seems safe. On to the next case. Second, the case that occurred on the 19th. It gets its name leaky noise from the condition the body was found in. It happened here in Shinsen. The girl's name was Takayanagi Momone, age 20. She was a sang-it singer on Nikonia. Welcome back, Archie. She'd been getting really famous online singing anime theme songs. You miss seeing Nono's panties. Or lack thereof. She was going to sing at the Restoration Festival too. Every sunny day, she'd always go to the same place at the same time and put on a performance in her fancy band costume. That day, she started her concert pretty late. But something was wrong. Her voice was small and it didn't sound like she usually did. And then in the middle of the concert, she died. Blood loss here too. She'd been stabbed in the stomach before she'd started the concert. What's strange was the condition the body was found in. Ito, play the video.
Sure thing.
Ito tapped a few keys on the computer's keyboard, and a moment later...
Yeah. Oh, is this really happening?
She's dead. She's really dead. Call an ambulance.
Kurusu looked confused when she heard the sound. Evidently, she wasn't able to make it out. Oh, not that one. The one Shibuya News upped with the enhanced audio. Please make a horror story and read it out like corpse. I can neither confirm nor deny that all of my VNs are horror stories. Also, this is almost definitely a pretty decent horror story.
Oh, that one? Yeah,
Yeah, why is this really happening?
She's dead. She's really dead. Call an ambulance.
Thanks, take it easy. Thanks, take it easy. Thanks, take it.
Her expression changed. She must have been able to hear it this time. Thanks, take it easy. According to the regulars, that's how she would begin every performance. She's a Nikonia user after all. Lately people have been saying she's the best singer around. Kurusu seemed to be ignoring Minito. She was staring at the computer screen that was the source of the sound.
What was that?
The screams are from the audience members who discovered the body. One of them was recording a video, and that last part was in Takayanagi's voice. It was from a miniature speaker embedded in her stomach. Kurusu seemed confused, so Ito interjected.
In other words, the whole concert that day had been pre-recorded.
Evidence found later indicated that she'd slit open her own stomach with a utility knife she got at a convenience store, then stuck a Bluetooth speaker inside. She closed the wound up with duct tape, not that it actually did much good, then she used her clothes and the outfit to hide the wound and started her performance. At first, she played the guitar along with the sound of her recorded voice, but after a while, she stopped playing. That was when she leaned forward and didn't get back up, so she was probably already dead then. But while the audience thought it was strange, they kept listening. Either the blood from her wounds broke the portable music player in her pocket, or maybe it was supposed to be this way from the start. But until that same line you just heard played over and over, no one realized she was dead. Kurusu's face was a mixture of confusion and discomfort. Of course it was. She'd never heard of something like this. I couldn't hold back my excitement. Huh? Amazing, right? Instead of agreeing, Kurusu's brow furrowed. She probably didn't realize it, but she dropped her arms around herself. What was wrong? Was that a little too creepy?
And? All we've done so far is go over what we know. What's your discovery?
Oh yeah, he was right. I used the computer to print out a series of pictures. Obviously, we don't know what the motive behind these two killings are. The one suspect we've got is whoever visited Owatani's room, and we don't know who they are, what they wanted, or what they were talking about. But I think there's more of this to come. It's only a guess, though, based off of something the victims have in common.
Huh? Seriously?
Ito leapt out of his chair in shock. Well, I couldn't blame him.
We spent forever going over things they could have had in common. All we came up with was that they both lived in Shibuya and that they both used Nikonia. The only other things that are that they were both semi-famous and they both died in a bizarre way. But that didn't tell us anything we didn't already know, did it?
So you didn't see the other thing they had in common? I pointed toward the bulletin board as I spoke. Ito looked really annoyed.
Damn it, you arrogant asshole. What's up with that thing you're printing out anyway?
One of the best parts of finding something like this was seeing the angry look on his face. Well, it was only yesterday that I found it myself, though.
Relax. What did you find?
Kurusu beckoned for me to go on. No matter what she said, after hearing all this, she probably wanted to know what came next. Oh, it was done printing. Hi, Hana. Kazuki suddenly stood in front of me. She offered me the printed images without a word. Thanks. Then she offered me something else. A lollipop? Are you giving me this? She nodded. God, she's hella cute too. Look at what you're doing to me, Sasuke. Why? Thanks. Kazuki seemed to be communicating in her own unique way. She walked over to the bulletin board and tapped the data printouts on the 2 cases with her finger.
Kazuki, what's wrong?
She did it again. I saw the part she was pointing at and nodded. That's right. The dates. The 7th and the 19th. That's what they have in common. Strange deaths on September 7th and September 19th. Ring a bell? The lollipop is poisonous, I'm calling it. I doubt it. Kazuki's too cute to be a bad person. Same with Moeka and Nai. I kept looking at Ito. Usually, he would be the one to pick up on this. A second later. Oh. He froze. He must have figured it out. Yup. With your love of weird murders, you know what I'm talking about. Hana is love. I'm glad we're on the same page. John, welcome to the stream. How are you doing tonight? I pinned the images I just printed out onto the bulletin board's map. Thank you for the follow. September 7th, the group dive. September 19th, the pregnant man. September 29th, crucified. October 10th, the vampirer. October 23rd, brain dead. October 28th, yummy hand. November 4th, the DQN puzzle. The new generation madness. This is my first playthrough and I have played Chaos Ed already, yes. Thank God, because if I didn't, I just had the whole entirety of Chaos Ed spoiled for me in the last 10 seconds. Where did you get the English version? I don't even remember. I think Hand helped me find a copy of it. I know Hand helped me find a copy of it. I don't know why I said I think. But I don't remember where it was that we went to get it. Ugh. And I'm looking forward to Noah being translated. It hasn't fully been yet, though. Yup. 6 years ago in 2009. I haven't played Chaos Ed yet. I want to play it. It's good. I'll say that. I think if you've already played Chaos Child, you should probably just wait for Noah. I think the only good reason to play Chaos Head in its current form is in order to play Chaos Child so that you can play Robotics Notes and Robotics Notes Dash, because Robotics Notes is amazing and Robotics Notes Dash is also really good, and you should play or watch Chaos Head, preferably play, before you play Robotics Notes. Although I think Chaos Ed is probably less necessary than Steins Gate for Robotics Notes. You've already finished Robotics Notes and Robotics Notes Dash. Then I definitely wait for Noah. Wait for Noah to get translated. Because in Chaos Ed's current form, it doesn't make all that much sense in a lot of sections. And all the best characters don't get anywhere near as much screen time as they deserve. Specifically Kozupi. Kozupi is best girl. Rimi sucks. This is a hill I will die on. This is Chaos Child. The short version is basically if you want to get it legally, you need to get a VPN and buy it through DMM. Otherwise, you'll likely need to pirate it. Personally, I think waiting for Noah's translation might be a good idea at this point, since that'll probably be finished sometime next year. I very much agree. I can't wait for Steins either. I'll be really excited because even though I think I like Robotics Notes more than Steins Gate, I think the only reason I like Robotics Notes more than Steins Gate is because it's more of Steins Gate. Between Nai and Kurisu and Daru's existence in them. And I haven't played Dash yet because Chaos Child technically comes before Robotics Notes Dash, which is why we're playing Chaos Child right now, is so that I can play Dash without getting any spoilers for Chaos Child and have the like full experience. As for what is this called and where do you start, Archie? This is Chaos Child. It's Chaos Child. That they hinted in RN. Yeah, Takumi. But I think Takumi's existence in RN is only, I think it's good enough to stand alone. I don't think you need to have like interacted with Chaos Head to understand where Takumi is coming from. Like it probably isn't as strong of a cameo without Chaos Head, but it definitely isn't that strong of a cameo even with it. So I don't think it loses all that much. Yeah, it's definitely important, but I think that's the area that loses the least by having not had it. Especially, like, imagine if you've never played Steins Gate and you don't have that shiver up your spine where Kurisu is saying her friend has this phrase that he says in times like this when there's trouble, when the whole world is going to shit, and she's just like, El Sai Kongru, and you don't get that like, oh yeah feeling. Like that whole fucking cameo means nothing to you if you haven't played Steins Gate. Or Daru talking about baby Suzu and how he loves being a father with her. You don't get shit from that if you haven't played Steins Gate. Whereas like Lightning Neidhart is still, Takumi is still Takumi. He's still a shitty otaku who's still funny by himself, even if you don't have like the story background of what he's talking, like what he's referencing when he's talking. Yes, I do. Albeit barely. Takumi is a Seira addict. He is. Also, I keep noticing references in characters' names in Chaos Child to other characters in the Science Adventure universe. It almost feels like this game is just one huge nod to the rest of the games, rather than being like a standalone. Which, I mean, to be fair, that is kind of the point, because it is a direct sequel to Chaos Head. "6 years ago, in 2009, a series of strange deaths had occurred just before the earthquake that struck Shibuya on November 6th. Oh yeah, there is. Looks like, Nono and what is her name? Sekiro? Hugging each other? Unless that's Rimi, but I don't think that's Rimi. Serika, yes, that's it. I think I recognize this picture right here as well. I'm like 99% sure that is in Akihabara, not in Shibuya. But it's hard to tell from it being as small as it is. They became famous for the words left by the killer. Whose eyes are those eyes? They called the killings the New Generation Madness. That's the river before Yanabayashi Shrine. That makes sense. The murders took place in Shibuya, but the whole country took an interest in them. At the time, I was in 6th grade, and just like a lot of people, I followed every new development on the internet. The dates match up exactly with the dates of the murders 6 years ago. They may be set up to look like suicides, but they're every bit as weird as the old killings.
It's a coincidence.
She seemed to be trying to force the words out of her throat. Yeah, Syad is probably the best. Is probably definitely the best series. Kurisu was acting a little strange. Her arms clutched her torso even tighter.
Vice President?
Maybe it was because of all the creepy pictures she'd seen. Kurisu was clearly shaking. She doesn't seem like she's doing too hot at the moment. She tried her best to stop it as she spoke.
Stop trying to connect every little event. It's just a coincidence that they line up.
Why do the big-breasted characters not talk that much, Hana and Moeka? I don't know. I mean, to be fair, Hanas aren't that much bigger than Nonos. They're bigger, but not by that much. It's like Mayushi versus Moeka. It's only an 8-centimeter difference. We'll know for sure soon. The third generation madness took place on September 29th. In other words, glad that E-Ray talked in RN. Honestly, I wasn't so glad. Today. If something weird happens in Shibuya again, we'll know for sure. If a coincidence happens 3 times, it's not a coincidence anymore. A phone rang. It was mine. Yes, hello?
There's been a murder. Or maybe an accident. Anyway, I think what you said might have happened.
I could feel my heart starting to race as she spoke. It was a love hotel area in Dogonzaka, 5 minutes from Shibuya Station. A few days ago, there had been some kind of suspicious fire here, and I'd come to do some reporting. The place was supposedly a love hotel spot, but even at night when business should have been booming, it wasn't particularly exciting. During the day, when all the lights were turned off, if you didn't look at the signs, it wouldn't look very different from your average neighborhood. One of the buildings was a 4-story love hotel with the terrible name Fairy's Dance. That is an awful name. It faced a narrow street and there was no parking lot, so the police car was parked at the meter nearby. Hopefully it does.
This way!
Serika was standing in front of a general store some distance away. She was supposed to be spending the day taking photos of the area around the last 2 crime scenes. What happened?
I don't know. I passed by Gen near the 107 and he told me something was up here.
I just don't get that guy. Where does he find out about this stuff? It's helpful, so I guess it doesn't matter too much. Serica is cute. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I was going to say, I really don't want Serica to be best girl or to be true root, but I feel like I'm never lucky. Like, we got Kurisu in Steins Gate when I wanted Mayuri or Faris or Ruka. We got Remy of all fucking people in Chaos Head. Fess is actually like my second least favorite character in Chaos Head. No, third. Third. My worst to best is Remy, Yua, Fess, the tsundere girl with the purple hair that I always forget her name, and Kozupi is best girl in Chaos Head. Hence why she's on the board. Gen was a homeless man I knew who had sold me all the books in my secret stash. I feel like we know who Gen is. I feel like he was in... Yeah, it starts with an S. I can never remember her name. I feel like Gen was in Chaos Head, but I can't place why I know him. Senna, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Gen had to have been in Chaos Head. It's not Norose, is it? There's no way it's Norose. Norose died at the end of Chaos Head, didn't he? Or was Gen Senna's father? But I thought he also died at the end of Chaos Head. I have a feeling that Gen was... No, it wasn't Senna's dad. I feel like Senna's dad died at the end of Chaos Head, but I feel like that was also Senna's dad's name. He was a drunk who claimed to be of noble blood, but the stories he told me about his past didn't sound very noble at all. The guy was a weirdo, but since he spent all his time wandering around Shibuya, he knew a surprising amount of info about it. The resident homeless person in Chaos Head was Hatano Issei, which was in fact Senna's dad, so probably not the same person. Okay. Or is he? My office suddenly smells like cigarette smoke, and it's making it really hard for me to focus on voices. I imagine it's because my mom probably just came in from outside. Huh. Okay. I tried to look it up on Google, but I have to be hella careful because there's equal chance of me getting spoilers for Chaos Child if I'm not super careful. And I don't see anything that I trust enough to hide spoilers from me to actually click a link. So... Especially with them with the names of Chaos Child and Chaos Ed being so close together, trying to do it with a Google search is just way too dangerous.
But it seems like something's really happened, though. The policeman who just went in looked like he was asking for backup.
I see. I decided to start by taking a video of the outside of the hotel with my smartphone.
You really run fast at times like these.
I'm looking through the files for Chaos Ed and I just noticed that the game's credit roll is one long PNG that scrolls over a background. That's actually a smart idea. The way we did it in, that's actually, like, really smart. The way we did it in Yearning for Spring is we had it be, because it was only a 5-person team, we had it like fade in and out with different pages instead. And we locked the we forced a hard pause on each of the pages for the entire duration of each page so that you couldn't skip through it. The entire credit scene and the after credit scene is entirely unskippable in Yearning for Spring. Is there any way to extract the songs in the game, though? I'm pretty sure Han just finished doing that a couple days ago. Or maybe that was the videos. I think that was the videos, but I imagine if he did videos, he probably also did songs in the process. I'd left the two of them in the club room, and they'd only just now caught up to me. They must have ran here. Ito especially was breathing very heavily. What? Kurusu came too? Kazuki had decided not to come, evidently. Of course. Of course not. I'd never seen her outside, except when we were going to and from school.
So, did something happen?
That was awful. Ugh. I told Ito what I'd heard from Sarika. He seemed really disappointed.
What? You sure it's just not just some couple that had a fight?
Would you call reinforcements just for that? And today's the 29th, you know.
I told you, you're overthinking this.
Kurisu seemed upset. She glanced at the love hotels around her in disgust. You know, you might look at these places in disgust, but I would happily take you to one of them. No.
Let's get back to school. This isn't a place where students are supposed to be. What if one of the security cameras spots us?
Hi, Chase. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? What a comment to walk in on. Yes. Perfect timing, Chase. At least I wasn't hitting on the first year, okay? I was hitting on the probably second year, but still. She probably didn't want to get involved. Ever since the rebuilding, there had been more cameras around Shibuya than ever before, even around the love hotels. Yeah, Kazuki is a first year. In our school uniforms, we probably stood out. Kurusu motioned for us to go home. And then... Takaru over here doing his best Kazuki impression. Oh, Chase. Actually, this was relevant that I wanted to tell you about since it just came up. Han was looking at the files of Chaos Head, the first in the Science Adventure series. You know how they did the credit roll in that? They just threw up a background and then threw up the credit rolls as one big ass PNG where all the words are on a transparent background and zoomed it in and then scrolled it from top to bottom. That's so ridiculously simple. Like, I can do that with like 4 lines of code in RemPy. I saw something in the viewfinder. On the 3rd floor of the Love Hotel, the windows in one of the rooms facing the alley were open. The windows must have been all the way open because the curtains were fluttering out. Hey, you normally don't open the windows in a place like this, do you? Yeah, but it also doesn't look the best if you want it to be cinematic. I mean, they're usually pretty cinematic. That's how they do it in all of them, except for the other ones are actually videos, but they're still the same thing. Although I like the way we did ours. Yeah, me and Chase are the co-directors of Dulcia Games, a visual novel studio. Ugh. Is there a way to decode a puzzle picture? I mean, probably. It depends on whether it's built into the system as the picture itself, or if the system uses code to break it up into pieces from its original form. I asked Ito as I looked up at them. How would Ito know? Ito's a virgin, like he's ever been to one of these places.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know. I've never been to one.
Oh. Oh yeah, that's a useful thing. Ito followed my gaze and saw it for himself. It felt suspicious. I'd never been to a love hotel either, so I didn't know, but normally you'd keep the windows shut, right? You wouldn't want people seeing or hearing what you were doing. And then suddenly I heard a sound from somewhere. It was a calming sound with a simple melody. I took a closer listen. Was it a music box? It definitely was. It was coming from the room with the open windows. It sounded like it was inviting us in. The Committee of Zero is actually the Committee of 300. I'd believe it. What was going on? I looked around. The building across from the open window was another love hotel, but it had no windows on that side. I couldn't look into the building like I'd done with the karaoke box last week. And I certainly couldn't climb my way up. That's how you die, kids. Also, have I been there? I think I have. It's possible. All of the images in every Science Adventure game that I've ever seen have been directly taken from the real locations and then redrawn by their background artist. So it is very possible you have been in this actual location. Robotics Notes uses CPK, which is actually a really common archive format, so there's a few public tools for extracting those. Anyway, guys, nice meeting you. Thanks, Han, and thank you for you guys for being kind. No problem at all, John. I hope to see you again soon. We'll be doing Chaos Head for a while, and probably after Chaos Head, we'll be doing Robotics Notes Dash. We stream every Monday, Wednesday with visual novels. Fridays are multiplayer nights where we play some sort of multiplayer game with the community. Everybody gets in voice chat on the Discord. And I have a giveaway for a visual novel on Saturday. We are playing Snowhaven Studios, My Sweet Confession. And I have a giveaway of a key of that game along with going to be playing it on stream. You said in Shibuya? Most definitely then. We accidentally wandered into a couple places. Yes. Yeah, we're going to play Dash probably after we finish Chaos Child. Alright, sounds good, my dude. Hope to see you again soon. That Saturday stream will be at 8 p.m. Eastern, like all my streams. Giveaway Chaos Ed. We'll be giving away, what is it? Crap. We'll be giving away, a copy of My Sweet Confessions. We accidentally wandered into a couple places.
Wait, what are you thinking?
I must have had a pensive look on my face, because Kurusu had turned to me curiously. If we can get inside without them finding us...
What?
I looked over at the parking meters. There was still only the one car. Have a good night, John. Okay. There should be a rear entrance somewhere, so let's do it before the police backup gets here. Ito, go around from that side.
Okay.
I'll take this side.
Takaru, stop. Look at me.
I began to go around the building, not waiting for Ito's answer, but Kurusu grabbed my arm.
You can't do this. This is way beyond what a high school club should be involved in. Won't you listen to me?
Crap. She was just a millimeter short of making that face again.
And this is one of those dirty hotels, too, isn't it?
God, I love her character model so much. It's so well done in the face. She's a bit of a giraffe. I wish her neck was a little bit thicker, but otherwise...
Also, what if you get caught up in something weird?
I knew all that, but I didn't want to give up. This might be my chance to get a real scoop.
What if you get expelled? As your big sister, I can't let you put yourself in danger.
Sister? We're not actually family, are we? Did you just hurt her feelings? You piece of shit. Instantly, Kurusu grabbed me by the collar with incredible force and brought her face so close to me that our foreheads touched. I could tell her cheeks were flushed. There was a small wordless growl from deep within her throat, and her arms were shaking a little as she held me. What was she trying to say? She's trying to say that she wants to be family with you. Come on, dude. Come on. Just accept her love. She's better than Sarika. Come on. Please. I just want to have a good girl in a science adventure series. Just one fucking time. No, I knew what she was trying to say. But Kurusu didn't say it. Kurusu wasn't the sort of awful person who'd bring up the distant past to try and win an argument. And anyway, that was all over now. It wasn't either of our faults. What the fuck is going on between these two?
Stop it! Yeah?
Suddenly, Sarika ran over and tackled Kurusu. Cat fight! The momentum slammed both of them into the ground. No CG, really? No CG for this? Depression.
Oh, Sarika, what was that for? No fighting, no, Taku. The motto of the newspaper club is that all 5 of us are friends, right?
No, that was never our motto.
Sheen, you need to stop them too.
I love how she has nicknames for everybody.
Oh, wait, where were you?
Oh, that's right. This is no time for fighting, Taku.
She suddenly hopped up like a cheap toy. I mean, that's fitting. Also, this isn't, she doesn't have that bad of a neck to titty ratio, but I think part of that is because her titties are much smaller. Your voice is so good I fell asleep, GG. But her neck is way bigger than Nono's also. So it's hard to say.
The back door is open.
What?
I was thirsty, but I couldn't find a vending machine, so I decided to look inside the hotel. So I went around to the back door and opened it. Then I went inside, and there was a vending machine, and I said to myself, "Way to go, fairies dance!" And then I bought a drink and gulped it down, and then said, "Wait a second."
What?
Oh yeah, also another big brain game design move in Chaos. The 3D environment for Takami's Container House seems to be just 6 3D images used as backgrounds that the game transitions between, which gives the illusion of a 3D environment. That's fancy. You always get ahead of yourself.
So, Taku, what's the plan?
I think it's also her hair is huge, so her head looks way bigger. That's true. Nono's head does look bigger because she has way more hair. I don't know how the game renders images, so I'm not sure. Yeah, it's possible that the game literally takes the 3D images and layers them over each other in order to create a 3D environment. Because there were pans that made it look, well, yeah, like if you take images that have like a 3D whatchamacallit, like illusion effect, and then layer them in like a circle, and then make it so the game automatically loops the left end to the right end so that it like loops it perfectly in a circle, that would create a proper 3D environment, even though it's a 2D image. Sleep matter is going to be messed up again, definitely. Who's talking to me on Discord? Always happen. Oh, it's just I need to mute some of this stuff. Enjoyed a new Discord yesterday, and I still haven't tailored it properly. I could tell that Kurusu was glaring at me. But she didn't say anything. She couldn't say anything. Let's go together. If we pretend to be a couple, we might be able to fool them if it comes to that.
Okay.
As soon as the words were out of my mouth, Sarika beckoned me to follow her. Oh, that was in Chaos Head. That was a long time ago. Probably like 6 months ago we played Chaos Head. I also think I uninstalled it like a week ago too, so I don't even have it to like show you. As soon as the words were out of my mouth, Sarika beckoned me to follow her. I did. Aw, poor No. This is the worst ever. I hate it. I didn't say it, but in my heart I apologized to Kurusu as I went. Of course she couldn't hear me, so she didn't say anything. You could have taken her along instead. Although I have a feeling when we get where we're going, we're going to be glad we didn't bring her along, because it's probably going to scar everybody who sees it. Fair warning. It's pronounced slightly different. The stairs are over there, though.
The stairs are over there, though.
We went inside the hotel from the rear entrance and hid behind the corner that led to the lobby. This was my first time inside a love hotel, and it was a lot less gaudy than I'd expected. The name was false advertising. There were no fairies, and no one was dancing. Probably because there's a murder on the second floor. Maybe the quiet atmosphere was a selling point? But... Just
send someone back here. What? No, ask Shinjo.
The quiet was ruined by the sound of a police officer screaming into his phone. He was either confused or just excited because he kept saying the same things over and over again. Entertainingly enough, before I knew what I gave her Kurisu's voice before I knew what her name was. Something had happened after all, and something bad enough that he needed backup. This was my chance. If we could get to the scene before the place was overflowing with cops, we might be able to find an unexpected scoop.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. I checked, but I can't decide that on my own. No, I told you that's not what's going on.
Damn it. That cop was in the way. Whether we took the stairs or the elevator, he knew we needed to go through the lobby to get to them.
Taku, let's go.
Huh?
Hurry.
Wait. Sarika took me by the arm as if we were a couple and entered the lobby without trying to hide at all. Hey, come on. She ignored me and walked straight for the stairs.
Hey.
The cop must have seen us because he yelled at us from behind. Shit. He probably hadn't seen our faces. Should we run? No, that would make us look suspicious.
I told you not to leave your rooms. Yes. No, sorry. It's okay. Forget that. I need that backup.
He started to mumble into the phone. We crossed the lobby without looking back. Yay, tampering with quiet crime scenes. Don't do anything too crazy. When should I hide my face? Like now? We'll probably have a gently opens the door moment right before it happens.
But you were right. We were able to fool him.
That scared me. That was a close call. My heart was pounding so loud that the noise was making me sick. Could he not tell that we were high school students? No, even if he only saw us from behind, he'd be able to tell by our uniforms. Why didn't he arrest us? They left literally straight from school. They're skipping school to do this. Yeah, they's in big trouble if they get caught. Idiots. Yeah, I know, right? Maybe he was panicking so much the thought never occurred to him.
Okay, what's the next step?
Sarika let go of my arm and turned toward me. That's right. Now wasn't the time for thinking about other things. We don't know whether or not that room on the third floor is what we're after, but we should start there. If that doesn't work, we try other places. Once the police backup arrives, we leave. But from the way that officer was acting, something was definitely up. We need to get photos before we go.
Okay.
It was quiet. The policeman's voice was still drifting up the stairs, but it only made the quiet seem more oppressive. Just like he'd said, the customers had probably been told not to leave their rooms. It was too late for it to matter now, but I was starting to feel a little scared. Come to think of it, if something had happened, maybe the killer was still here?
Hey, Taku, you're fighting with None again, aren't you?
Sarika's voice was relaxed. I was grateful. I'd take any opportunity to relieve this tension. It wasn't really a fight. No, maybe it was.
But you're still calling her Kurisu, right? I know how you feel, but isn't there something you can do?
Until half a year ago, I'd called her No-No, her first name. After the incident that had caused me to leave the dorm, I'd never called her that again. As long as I kept calling her Kurisu, she'd keep being mad at me. It must have been hurting some important part of her.
Taku!
I hate that I know Sarika is going to be the best girl. Or not best girl, but true end girl. It's just inevitable. It's gonna hurt me. But it's what's going to happen. I just know. Oh. The next thing I knew, we were on the 3rd floor. Sarah had gotten ahead of me at some point and was poking her head around the corner and into the hallway.
Nobody's here, I think.
Good. I took out my phone and got ready to record. As soon as I went to the 3rd floor hallway, I found myself holding my breath. My heart was pounding even louder than when the cop had yelled at us. I tried to control myself and looked down the corridor. You missed a shit ton, Retro. Okay. Gonna go over it with you real quick, just, you know, because I'm nice. Introduced to 2 new girls. Both are fucking cute. Both have huge titties. No is one who has Kurisu's voice. The other girl is named Kazuki. She really doesn't have a voice. She's never spoken. Even though she's had a ton of screen time, she does not talk. She only goes, we have realized that the 2 deaths that were originally marked as suicides may have been weird tampering. And might not be suicides at all. And it just so happens that the dates that the deaths happened to be the same month and day as the original New Gen murders that happened back in Chaos Head. And today is the day that the 3rd New Gen murder would have happened 6 years ago in Chaos Head. And coincidentally, we were like, why don't we, well, maybe if something weird happens, then maybe we're actually onto something and they're all connected like this. And then weird shit happened. We got a call from Sarika, the girl who is cutesy. The Mayushi of the game. And she's like, here it is. It's at this love hotel in the middle of the residential district. And we go there, and we've snuck in by pretending that me and Sarika are a couple. And we're on the 3rd floor right now, and we have no idea what the fuck is about to be going down. We don't know what at all. We just know something is going down here. And we're guessing it's in a door that has like an open window up on the 3rd floor. It is not the same location, and from what I can tell, they have very little in common with the New Gen murders as well. Like, I mean, we as players also know that it's definitely being done by somebody using something similar to the Noah system. But so we know it's being perpetrated in some way, shape, or form by either the committee or some other global organization who's big enough to be duking it out with the committee. My heart was pounding even louder than when the cop had yelled at us. I tried to control myself and looked down the corridor. The rooms must have been very big because the gap between the doors was large. The floor was red, sinking into black as the hallway stretched away. I could hear the unpleasant sound of blowing air. They must have had the air conditioning on. There were no windows and there wasn't a lot of light, so the hallway looked pretty creepy, but there was nothing out of the ordinary about it otherwise. But still it was strange. The air felt solid. It felt like someone would jump out from the shadows the second you let your guard down, or perhaps there were traps scattered everywhere along the floor. For a second, the floor seemed to be stained with blood, but I shook that image out of my mind. What was this? It was like the fear you feel in the darkness at night. Was it just because there was so little light? No, it was worse than that. It felt like someone was watching me and enjoying my unease. Whose eyes are those eyes? It was like they were peering deep into my heart. Taku! Shut up, Remy wannabe. I almost jumped off the ground with a start. So much for her neck ratio being reasonable.
wrong? Don't just talk to me like that. You scared the hell out of me.
It's nothing. Hey, isn't this kind of weird? I gestured with my head down the hallway. Serica looked past me into the darkness.
Well, it's creepy because it's so dim, but isn't that just to set the mood?
Was it? Was that all? Was I just being too sensitive? I tried flipping the light switch on the wall next to me, but nothing happened. Maybe the bulbs were burnt out, or maybe it wasn't the switch for this hallway at all. Damn it, this wasn't 1407 or something. I turned around. The only person there was Serica. No one else was looking at me. It took some time to make sure of it before I spoke. Let's go.
Yeah.
Serica nodded cheerfully and stayed behind me as we walked deeper into the hallway. I remembered the location of the window I'd seen outside. It was probably deeper in the hall, the furthest one back or the one before it. It's probably one of those two. I walked as silently as I could down the long hallway toward the last rooms on the left side. With every step I took, I could feel the sensation of the hallway floor through the bottom of my heels. It was like I was being forced to think about nerves that I had never used. My body felt very tense. I didn't see any cops in the hallway. Usually they'd at least leave one person here at the scene. Was this the wrong floor? We reached the second to last door. Room 306. Interesting. Whoop. Weird time to have a delusion option, but alright. I've liked the positive delusions so far. They're fun. But I think we'll go dead negative delusion because it'll be extra fun. Just the quiet rumble of the air conditioner.
Is there a peephole?
Come on. This is a love hotel.
Oh, right.
Hey, what are you? The positive one here is interesting. Is it? I can swap over.
Knocking.
You can't. Negative is also good. I'll start with the positive. And suddenly the door opened. We didn't expect anyone to open it, so both Serica and I froze. And then they came out.
Are you to the next customers?
It was a voluptuous woman with long hair, and she was completely naked. And not only that, her body was as nice as any you'd see in a magazine. Wait, didn't she look a lot like that model or actress I saw on TV?
No, Taku, don't look! You're so cute, come in.
Oh no.
It's not like that. It's fine. You can come in too, miss.
In other words, what exactly?
I'll make you feel great, so come on in, okay? Taku, what should we do?
Well, why do you look like you want to go inside?
Because...
Serica's face was red with embarrassment. She whispered softly.
I want to feel good.
I want to see both. 'Cause I can. Trigger on. And then suddenly the door flung open.
Who the fuck is knocking on my door?
An angry and very underdressed man came storming out. His hair was short and permed, and he had a gold necklace around his neck. Oh no, this guy was bad news. Serica had frozen in surprise.
Were you the one who knocked?
When he glared at me, I shook my head without thinking, and then he turned his gaze towards Serica.
That wasn't you? I'll teach you a lesson about what happens when you screw with me, you stupid kid.
The man grabbed Serica by the hand and tried to pull her into the room. No, let me go!
You were the one who knocked. Now turn back now.
Taku! She turned toward me for help with tears in her eyes. Something really bad was about to happen to her. I had to do something. I had to. Please stop.
Shut the fuck up.
I was suddenly kicked in the solar plexus. The force sent me flying all the way back to the other wall where I collapsed to the ground. Taku! The pain was so great that I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even stand up. And then the door shut. I could hear the man yelling and Serica's screams from within. All I could do was crumple up into a ball on the ground, crying in fear and frustration. Good thing that was just a delusion. What if that happened? I'll be right back. I'm going to get a water, because my voice is starting to fuck up. Alright, I'm back. So that -1 was less than happy, but it could have been worse. Could have been a lot worse. Because it was short. What if that happened? Serica was just too reckless. We didn't belong in a place like this anyway. I bit my lip and watched in fear as she kept knocking. Stop it, okay? You sure? The police aren't here either. Maybe it's not this floor. I flinched back at the sudden noise. What? Oh, was that the sound of breaking glass? It was from the next room over, right? She was clinging to my back in surprise with her hands on my shoulders. I think so. It came from further down, right? Serica pointed to the next room. We stood there for a moment. The violent sound must have scared her because Serica's easygoing mood had totally vanished. But we waited a while and nothing more happened. There were no voices or sounds of struggle. The hallway was the same as ever. But was I imagining it, or was the hall a little darker than before? Should we go back? Serica didn't answer my question. She didn't seem afraid, but she had a serious look on her face as she stared down the hallway. Maybe something had happened and the killer was still here. No, wait. I need to think about this rationally. There was an officer on the first floor who'd called for backup. Usually when a call came in, the police never came there alone. There was always more than one. I'd found that out for myself during my reporting, so I was sure of it. So there had to be another officer at the scene. The killer couldn't just be hiding there. If there was any chance of that, the cop wouldn't have told us to go back to our rooms. Did the killer break the glass during a struggle? No, that didn't make sense either. If there was any chance of them being able to do that, would that officer have gone downstairs? He'd probably gone down there to tell the front desk not to let anyone else in. Damn it. I had no proof. But it should be okay. More than anything, I hadn't taken any photos yet. Yeah, that's the most important part. Huh? I jumped, literally, when I heard the sound. It was a very strange sound, one that didn't belong here at all. I looked and saw that Serica had gotten so nervous she'd taken out her Guerra Froggy Guerrero strap and started to play with it. She probably didn't even know she was doing it. I softly poked her with my elbow. Motioned for her to keep quiet, and she seemed confused. But then she realized what she was doing and quickly put the strap back in her pocket. As soon as she was done, I looked down the hall once more, all the way to the front of the room. We should head there. I tried to steel myself, then checked over my shoulder once more to make sure no one was there. I started to walk forward very carefully. I was afraid of making even the slightest sound. Serica followed me wordlessly with her hand on my shoulder. I grabbed her hand with my free hand. The other was holding my smartphone. She squeezed it tight. The feeling of her fingers kept me strong as I walked forward. The next room. Room 305, the room at the far end of the hallway. That doesn't make any sense. Unless... Okay, I see how they're numbered. That's weird. Alright. Just like room 306, it had a plain old door, but it felt like it was exuding an intense pressure. This is where it came from, right? She was asking about the sound. I think so. I answered, despite not having any proof at all. We waited, but still heard nothing. I looked around once more to make sure no one was there, then put my ear up against the door. And then... I heard a small sound. It was the sound that I'd heard outside, the sound from the windows like a music box playing. It was relaxed and peaceful, even if we weren't, and playing the same tune, over and over. This is the room, the one with the open windows. Serica was looking at me. Will it open? No, that's... I hesitated, but she put her hand on the doorknob. Nope. She seemed relieved, but a little upset. I knew exactly how she felt. I felt the same way. I moved away from the door. I would have liked to take some photos before I left, but... Huh? Did you just hear the sound of a lock? Yeah. That was what it sounded like. We were too confused to move. There was no sign of anyone coming out. I slowly touched the doorknob. It turned. Now is probably that moment to look away if you don't want to see something horrific. The door was unlocked. How? As if guided by all the strange things that were happening, I pushed the record button on my smartphone. I gripped the doorknob tighter. A voice in my mind told me to stop, to go back, but it was wiped out by the sound of the smartphone recording starting and the door slowly opening. The more it opened, the less I was able to ignore my curiosity. It felt like something besides Serica was pushing me forward as I opened the door. That song was playing in the dimly lit room. All the lights were off, but the sun outside was streaming through the open window. Its light was very weak. The curtain in front of me, which partitioned off a part of the room, was blocking the light. I gulped and realized my lips were dry. I ran my tongue over them to wet them a little, and then I realized my heart was pounding. The sound was so loud I thought my heart might have somehow moved up into my ears. It seemed to be beating out some bizarre rhythm, and it was making me sick. I forced myself to swallow my saliva and hoped it would keep me from throwing up. Then I took a slow step forward. I held up my phone to record what I was seeing, and then I realized something. That curtain wasn't partitioning the room. It was a bed. There was a raised spot off the floor with a circular bed surrounded by a curtain. The light was streaming out from behind it. The windows we'd seen were on the other side of it, and the song seemed to be coming from there as well. Crap, it was too dark. I went to flip the nearby light switch, then forced myself to stop. No. I couldn't touch anything in the room. Some kind of crime must have taken place here, but I was scared to go any deeper into the darkness. My shoes made my steps louder against the floor. There was no response, only the relaxed melody. I gave a signal to Serica, who was still behind me, and went deeper into the room. What? For a moment I thought I heard the sound of creaking metal. It felt like I was hearing it between the gaps in the music box's melody. But there was no change that I could see. No one jumped out. Nothing was moving. There was just the sound of the music box. I looked from one part of the room to another to make sure nothing was amiss. And then I slowly moved forward. Someone was lying on the floor. I swear to fucking God, if that is who I think it is, I am going to lose my shit. When my eyes adjusted to the gloom, I saw a police officer and a woman. The officer was lying up against the bathroom with his legs splayed and his head drooping. The girl was lying on the floor face down. They showed no sign of noticing us. No, that wasn't right. The glass behind them was shattered into 1,000 pieces. Crap. The second I understood what was going on, the hand holding the smartphone started to shake. Crap, crap, crap. I could see a little blood dripping off the police officer's head. I spun around as I heard the sound. The warmth drained from my face in an instant, and my whole body shivered. Someone was sitting on the bed. I staggered back and slammed into Serica. Let's get out of here now. But I couldn't move. My hand was frozen as it pointed the smartphone toward whoever was behind the curtain, and it wasn't doing what I told it. Damn it. I took a step back, tripped, and then fell to the floor. My lungs weren't working right. The silhouette moved a little, and I flinched. No, it didn't move. The bed was rotating. Whoever was behind the curtains showed no sign of noticing us. They didn't budge an inch. What the hell is going on here? Taku, the door won't open! Serica's voice sounded like it was far away. I ran back to the entrance and slammed myself into the door. It wasn't opening. It wasn't opening. Why won't it open? I don't know. Serica yelled back at me. Why? Why? Serica screamed as she slammed against the door. I helped her try to batter it down. But it didn't work. It was like trying to batter down a wall. God damn it. Suddenly I heard a knock at the door. I reflexively jumped away without thinking. Oh shit. Knock, 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 knock. It was coming from this door. The knocking was rhythmic and constant. What? What? It was just a knock at the door, but my whole body started to shake. Someone was on the other side of the door. Someone was knocking. It definitely wasn't the police. I felt as if my sanity was boiling away, melting out from the soles of my feet on upward. No. No. Don't open that door. Right, go out the back. Let's use the window. I grabbed Serica's hand and ran to the back of the room, and fell silent at what I saw. Huh? No. What was that? The curtain was open. There was a man there, sitting. No, he was moving slowly. The bed was moving in time to the sound of the music box. An eerie sound came from the wire wrapped around his neck. The wire was hanging down from the ceiling, choking him. His face was all puffed up in a color I'd never seen before. His pants were wet and the stain extended to the bed itself. The smell of piss and shit hung in my nose. He wasn't alive. He was dead. As though there was a third option. What the hell is this? Why was he dead? Did he suffocate? Why was the curtain open? And what the hell was he doing? Why was he dead? My right hand moved without me realizing it. Huh? I needed to use the window to escape, but I pointed my phone's camera at the body instead. Taku, we need to get out of here! The body spun slowly. Each time it went around, the wire made an awful sound and dug deeper into his neck. It had dug in so deep by now that the man's neck was the size of my wrist. The skin must have been broken because it was bleeding a little. Taku! What am I doing? Serica was right next to me, but her voice sounded far away, like she was talking through a telephone. I needed to get out of here, but I couldn't stop the filming. Why was I doing this? Why was he dead? The wire dug deeper and deeper into his neck without waiting for me to come up with an answer. The body turned away from me. I could see the back of his neck. The flesh around the wire was swollen red and black. I heard a muffled sound like something hard snapping inside of a bag. The head slumped just a little. His neck had just broken. That must have been the sound of neck breaking. Taku, let's get out of here! I could hear Serica's voice. Get out of here? Get out of here. That's right, I need to get out of here. My body moved as I heard another sound. I spun around. Ugh. I screamed. And then I heard something from behind me. I don't know what I did, but the next thing I knew, my whole field of vision had turned red. Then I felt something like a ball hit me. Before I could understand what it was, everything faded to black. September 30th, 2015. midnight. Hey look, it's our new Bon. I only was able to follow some of what just happened. So, the body on the bed was the murder victim. I'm assuming what happened is that the girl, based on her eyes, was the murderer, but not because she wanted to be. Because she was probably being controlled. I don't know how the police officer died. And I think at the end there, Takumi was also being controlled by... I'm assuming the music box is what's generating the Noah field. But it could as easily have been somebody on the other side of the door. Shinjo, we've managed to ID the victim from his possessions in the security cameras. His name is Kakita Hironori. 22 years old, a Shibuya resident with a part-time marketing job at Koshin. I should probably come up with a voice for this dude, since he's probably our new Bon. Yeah, you don't remember Bon from Chaos Ed? The perverted detective who was into little boys? You should probably give him the same voice as Bon. Oh, great. I guess I can. I haven't used it yet. A part-timer at Koshin. Any lovers? None. No roommates either. He lived alone, it seems. It's not the best voice for him, no, but I've already used up the voice I gave to the other cop. But I'm pretty much out of male voices at this point. Which is surprising, all things considered. Pedo Detective, yeah, Retro remembers. None. No roommates either. He lived alone, it seems. Shit. Like, do you have a nicer sounding version of Bon's voice? Not really. Shinjo cursed. If he was single and not in a relationship, it would take time to figure out his private life. And Koshin was one of the companies that had profited the most from the recovery projects in recent years. Part-timer or not, if he worked there, he was probably pretty busy. It was possible that his coworkers knew just his name and nothing else about who he was outside of work. Shinjo, what do we tell the media? Kayomi TV and Nikonia's net reporters are refusing to leave. And those two kids we found at the scene who said they're with the Hekiho newspaper club. They've calmed down, but they're still not making a lot of sense. Oh no, this is not ideal. Oh no, please don't tell me it was her. That other girl doesn't have anything that would tell us who she is. We're checking if she's a friend or relative of Kakita's, but no luck yet. She's refusing to say anything. No. hand. No. Please don't tell me it's her. Also, forensics wanted to know. Hey, you can't just... This is Watabe from Nikonia News. Excuse me, what's going on here? Get out, you can't come in here without permission. Just a brief comment. A brief comment is all I need. Shinjo's men physically dragged the reporter out of the room. He had to stop himself from putting his hands to his head and moaning. Kitty is being very angry about food, I bet. He couldn't let his men see him acting weak. Shinjo had been with Police HQ's Section 1 for less than 7 years. He didn't get along with his superiors, but he'd managed to beg his way into being in charge of this case. Okay. So he probably knew Bon, but only probably barely. Maybe this was his way of avenging the death of an older detective who he'd admired. There we go. That's the answer. Once you're done looking in the window frame, make sure it can be seen from outside. There's no telling what those net reporters will do. Yes, sir. I'll talk to forensics myself. Oh, and put some more manpower into checking his connections at work. I'll tell the bosses. Yes, sir. So, what about those kids? I'll handle them too. Get to it. Yes, sir. His men raced out of the room. They'd never had a case like this before, and they were probably pretty excited. Fucking degenerates. So was Shinjo, to be honest. Yeah, but we expect that out of you if you're Bond's replacement. The whole thing was such a mess that he didn't even know where to begin. But his detective's instincts were screaming at him to start doing the work needed to find the killer. Okay. Goddamn mouse.
Hello, this is Trustworthiness Investigation Company Frisia.
His call was answered on the first ring like always. It's me.
Oh, Shinjo, you're late. I thought you'd be contacting me earlier.
I'm sorry. Shinjo apologized without thinking and for no clear reason. He always felt like a naughty child when he spoke to this CEO, who happened to be a woman. Is this who I think it is? Because I'm pretty sure she lived.
You know why you're so exhausted? It's because you're taking this so seriously. You should relax a bit like they did.
It is. I've got no intention of copying their habits.
You're so serious, aren't you? If you keep on thinking that's a virtue, you're going to have a bad time of it one day.
Momose, there's something I want to talk to you about. Called it! It's been so long, I don't remember what Momose's voice was, so... Shinjo cut her off before she could continue her lecture and gave her a brief description of the scene. This was a violation of the rules, but the only way to solve a crazy case was to be a little crazy yourself. That was the first thing he'd learned from that older detective.
So is it a murder or suicide?
Momose asked her question after he described the situation. She cut to the heart of the problem. We're not sure right now. The hotel had gotten suspicious when Kakita had never come down after checkout time. When more than 10 calls to the room went unanswered, they'd contacted the police. 2 officers, as well as someone from the hotel, had gone to the room where they found the body and an unconscious girl. I forgot my headphones were wireless. GG. Welcome back, Chase. One officer stayed at the scene to keep it secure, and the other searched the hotel to make sure it was safe. You haven't lost a lot of information, so... During the search, he'd forgotten to lock the employee entrance in the back near the stairs. That was how the 2 students from Hakiho had gotten in. Shortly after he'd left the room, the girl woke up and started strangling the officer who'd stayed. He'd hit his head on the edge of the glass window and knocked himself out. He was going to be fine, but he'd been out cold until backup arrived. When the backup got there, they found the girl unconscious on the floor. A boy from Hakiho had passed out on the floor as well. The other girl from Hakiho was throwing up, also on the floor. Kakita's cause of death was asphyxiation via strangulation. Oh, well, that's not ideal. The wire around his neck was the kind used as construction sites. It had been hung in an X pattern from the lights on the ceiling. Ow. No. And he'd been sitting on the bed as it rotated. That's why there was so much pressure on his neck that finally his head had been severed. From the estimated time of death, Kakita had passed away before the police had even been contacted. The body on the bed kept spinning in time to the music, one rotation every 2 minutes. In the end, the man's head had been cut off completely. The problem was the girl in the room. There was no indication that she'd ever touched Kakita. There were no fingerprints or any other sign that she'd touched Kakita's body, the bed, or the wire. The only thing they'd found under her fingernails were skin and blood from the officer she'd strangled. In fact, there was no indication she touched much of anything in the room. Everything they found belonged to Kakita. And according to the officer she'd strangled, when she'd attacked him, she'd clearly been in an unstable psychological state. Her eyes were bloodshot and out of focus.
So what are you trying to say here? This girl just watched Kakita die without touching anything in the room and then started strangling a police officer while temporarily insane.
Shinjo scratched his head as he heard her sum up the situation. That was what it looked like, at least from what they knew right now. And just going by that, it sure looked like a suicide. But it was all far too strange.
I see. This is a bit of a problem. What about these kids from Hakio that got inside the room?
It seems like it was pretty traumatic for them, so at first they wouldn't say anything, but now they're starting to talk. But they're from Hakio, and that place has some issues.
He checked with the school and verified that they were part of the school's newspaper club. The security camera at the rear entrance had seen them coming in, which matched with their testimony. But he didn't know what to make of their testimony that the door had opened on its own, or that someone else had tried to come into the room. The door was equipped with an automatic lock, and the only person inside the room who could have opened it was that girl. But there was no sign of her fingerprints on the door. And the security camera in the hallway showed no signs of anyone else trying to go in. In any event, it was extremely rare for a civilian to see a dead body outside of a funeral. And in an unstable mental state, it was extremely easy to imagine things or just outright be mistaken about what was going on. If they turned out to not have any relationship to Kakita or the girl, he planned on letting them go off with a stern warning.
Our biggest lead is the girl who was in the room, but she's not talking.
She's probably gonna be put under psychiatric hold at this rate, right?
Yeah, but that'll slow down the investigation a lot, so I'd rather not go that route.
Got it. Let me get some information spread around. Given your position, this is probably gonna be pretty rough for you. So be ready, okay? I'll call back in 3 minutes.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it.
Shinjo went to hang up the phone.
Oh, wait!
Yeah?
Actually, I want you to do something for me. I'm sure it'll be a big help for you, too. Can you do it?
So it's basically an order then, Shinjo thought to himself.
What is it?
One of my kids knows more about this than I do. And they say they want to see the crime scene personally. Can you help them out?
You want me to let an outsider into a crime scene?
It's always outsiders who'll give you the hints you need to solve the case.
After all, I'm an outsider too, she continued. I bet I know who the kid is, who's going to be let in. In his head, Shinjo went over the steps he'd have to take and the time required to take them.
Can it be tomorrow, or no, the day after?
That's my Shinjo. Glad we could work this out. I don't know how you manage around the rest of those hardheads in Section 1.
Alright, talk to you later.
Hold on a second, Shinjo, would you?
He barely stopped himself from ending the call.
Is there something else?
I wanted to give you some advice just in case. 2 things. First, what I said before wasn't a joke, okay?
Huh?
You need to relax a little. Don't take everything so seriously. I'm sure a lot of things are about to happen that will be beyond your understanding. When that happens, your worst enemy is what you think you know.
I'll make sure to remember that.
If that was a serious answer, you've still got a long ways to go. And the other thing is...
Momose paused for a second and chuckled.
Don't let my kid get the better of you too often. If you let your guard down, you'll end up an outsider yourself.
Yep. I know who it is.
Hey, do you see the thing on Twippo? Oh yeah, the meme about Heki Hobot, a giant Upa with a smug look on its face, sitting on the Shibuya Hikariwo and saying Shibuya sure has changed. Yeah, that one's really kind of sad. Can we use that for the culture festival? Nobody's gonna look at a display about the history of Shibuya's recovery anyway. Is it enough to just have the picture though? We need to actually have stuffed animals or something.
The male student started to search for Shibuya's stores with his smartphone. He must have found something strange because he kept mumbling, "No way." Ito was recording the newspaper club's project for the festival. A bunch of random footage of the preparations in the cafeteria. Is this really the right time to be all excited over something like that, guys? The body had just been found in Dogenzaka yesterday, and all these students cared about was their stupid jokes. The body was found less than 10 minutes away from the school, but they barely even mentioned it.
Well, it really hasn't hit the news too much yet, but...
The first reports had been on a major communications net company's website. That was where Ito had seen it. It had been last night. It had made the morning news in the morning papers, but all that had been reported was that a body had been found and that no details were known. And it was rare for a high school kid to check the TV news and papers every day. There was no word from Miyashiro. Ito was really worried about what had happened at the Love Hotel, but he had no way of asking about it.
Damn it.
He took out his phone even though he knew he hadn't gotten any calls. Sure enough, there were no messages. He'd been doing that a lot since yesterday. He couldn't bring himself to make a call. He didn't know what to say. He didn't know what to say to a friend who'd been taken away by the police. The laughing students irritated Ito in a way that he didn't really understand. He'd been planning on videotaping the entire cafeteria today, but instead he gave up and left.
You filming? Hope it's going okay.
He went inside the club room and saw Kurusu there.
Any word?
Kurusu's expression clouded for us a moment as she shook her head.
Nothing since then.
I see.
Wakui, the club advisor, told him that Kurusu had taken a change of clothes for Miyashiro to the police station last night. She'd been told that neither Miyashiro nor Onoe were hurt. The police were probably going to let them off with a warning, and if they were suffering any after effects from the trauma, they'd be let go in the morning. But school was over. It was almost evening, and there was no word from either of them. Ito dropped into his chair.
Damn it, the school's so peaceful. Barely anybody's talking about what happened yesterday.
I see.
I mean, sure, there are about 2 murder reports a week in Tokyo, so I know it's not exactly a new thing, but... Still, Dogenzaka's right next door. It's possible someone walks by that place on their way to school. Actually, I bet someone does. Maybe it's like he always says, and none of these people ever read the real news.
Do you have any idea how obvious you are?
Kurusu chuckled.
Huh?
You're worried about the 2 of them, right?
Ito started to speak, and then but then choked it back.
Not really. Aren't you worried, Miss Vice President?
Ridiculous, she chuckled.
I'm angry. This whole thing is ridiculous. Serica is one thing, but he ignored my warning and went in anyway, and this is what happened. He's making you do all the filming for the newspaper club, too.
No, I don't really care. It's not that big a deal.
It is. When you're given a job, you need to do it.
Is this it? Kurusu, what's going on with the budgets? Kawahara appeared. He was very out of breath.
The budgets.
The list of group.
Wait, wrong voice. The list of groups that have gone over budget. Accounting says it's not in yet. Kurusu frowned as she realized her mistake.
Sorry, I'll send you an email with the list.
ASAP, okay? Before the teacher goes home. Kawahara ran off before Kurusu had time to answer. And before he was even out of sight, Kurusu had booted up the PC and started to tap at the keys.
What?
No, it's nothing.
Which of us is more obvious? That's what Ito was about to say before he stopped himself. Normally it was impossible to imagine Kurusu not doing her job. For a while after that, Kurusu focused intently on her work. Ito didn't have much else to do, so he watched her. When he looked carefully, he could see small dark spots under her eyes. She probably hadn't slept. And then Ito realized, for the first time, Kurusu had probably come to the club room to see if either of them had contacted him. With all the preparations that were going on, there was no other reason for her to be here.
The Empress of all people, huh?
Kurusu pressed down hard on one final key as she finished her task. Then suddenly an unpleasant sound filled the room.
Hey.
I know.
They looked over and saw that Kazuki was nibbling on dried squid as she played her game, oblivious to everything around her. Ito had seen her come in after Kurusu had started her work. He had thought she might say hello, but knowing her, maybe not. He'd also seen her start to play her game. He'd been trying not to bring it up, but that was clearly impossible now. She must have been concentrating pretty hard. Her gaze was constant and steady. Ito sighed.
She's always caught up in her own little world, isn't she? Maybe she doesn't care about anyone else.
Of course that's not true. She's just a little stronger-willed than most people.
Even so.
She's in the same club as them, he started to say, but Kurusu stopped him with a grazed hand. She looked down at Kazuki's gaming screen.
Evidently not.
Huh?
Kurusu chuckled and took off Kazuki's headphones.
Kazuki, I'm not a big gamer, so correct me if I'm wrong, but... Is there a reason you're continuously flinging fireballs at the side of a house? That fire's spreading really fast.
Kazuki looked back at the screen with a stunned expression on her face. She yanked the headphones out of Kurusu's hand and then quickly put them on, then started to pound at the keyboard. Arson, wee!
Calm down and either swallow that squid or spit it out. What you're doing now is bad manners.
Kazuki may or may not have heard her because she struggled with her game for a while and then... She froze like a toy whose batteries had run out. The squid she'd been chewing fell out of her mouth and landed on the desk. She stared at it for almost 30 seconds as if something impossible had happened. Then she silently stood up and staggered over the shelf where we kept the electric coffee maker. Her face had turned pale.
Kazuki, you okay?
I love Kazuki. She's so cute. She's not best girl, but she's really cute.
Are you gonna make us coffee?
Kazuki nodded in answer to Ito's second question and started to make coffee with shaking hands. She made Kurusu her usual with 2 cubes of sugar and gave Ito a coffee mixed with milk. Then she made a cup for herself, black, but didn't drink a drop. Her forehead slammed into the desk with a thud, and she became so quiet it was impossible to tell if she was breathing.
See?
Kurusu looked to Ito for agreement as she cleaned up a Kazuki's squid.
Wait, really?
He took a sip from his coffee, not sure what to think. To him, none of this made any sense. Kurusu didn't say another word as she drank her coffee. Ito looked up at the blank ceiling and decided that this was as good a time as any to ask. It wasn't that it was wrong, but it still felt kinda awkward.
Hey.
What?
Is there a reason he's so obsessed with this case?
Kurusu froze. She lowered her gaze as if searching for answers in her coffee cup.
What about you? You seem pretty interested in it yourself.
She seemed to be trying to change the subject.
It's just like this stuff.
This stuff?
Weird murder cases and stuff, but still running into a crime scene like he did yesterday was...
That was going too far, he continued. Kurusu silently took another sip of her coffee. She seemed to be staring at a single point in the distance, lost in thought. It was clear that while she was seeing the things around her, none of them held any meaning to her. Looking at her scared Ito a little. Was it really that big a deal?
If you don't want to tell me...
That's not it. I'm sure that basically Takeru's the same as you. He likes this stuff. And he's always liked getting involved in things that were dangerous.
I see,
Ito said.
You two started living together in elementary school, right?
Yeah, that's right. A little after the earthquake, to be precise. Just about the time when middle school was supposed to start.
That's why he lives in the camper. Kurusu and Miyashiro were both what people called earthquake orphans. They'd both been in 6th grade when they'd lost their parents to the earthquake. Since they had no relatives to take them in, they'd been sent to the same group home, the localized small-scale children's welfare facility's Aoba dormitory. Kids like them weren't common in Shibuya these days, but they weren't exactly rare either. Miyashiro had been so badly injured during the earthquake that he'd been put into a coma. He was still in that coma when he arrived at the dorms. The head of the dorm was also the head doctor at the Aoba clinic downstairs, and so for a while that was where he was kept. Kurusu had taken care of literally all his needs. There were 4 kids at the facility. Kurusu and Miyashiro were the oldest. Since her birthday was earlier than his, she dubbed herself the oldest of 4 siblings and volunteered to take care of the other 3. Even back then, Miyashiro had a habit of being curious and getting into trouble.
He's just a little brat, you know. He says all the time that he's different from everyone else, right? Even though that's not true.
I love this camera angle that they use in the scenes where, or a lot of scenes in general, where the sprites all seem to have facing away versions, so that the main character's point of view, or in this case the third party perspective's point of view, can be behind one character while the other character faces both. I really like that touch.
He's just a little brat, you know. He says all the time that he's different from everyone else, right? Even though that's not true.
She spoke like a parent worried for her child's future.
But in the end, he...
Hello, everyone. Oh, I didn't think I'd see you here, Kurusu.
Who the fuck is this? What the fuck is Leskinen doing here?
Did you hear anything?
The club advisor, Wakui, was quite relaxed as he came into the room. Kurusu quickly stood up and rushed over to him. He nodded and motioned for her to calm down. Actually, he looks like Leskinen and Norose had a kid. Discount Okabe, also a fair point. Doesn't he give out pro tips? That's also a fair point. God damn. He's just a combination of a bunch of different characters from other science adventure games. But yes, that also reminds me of another voice I have in my repertoire. Thank you for that. Because I'm going to use it. Yeah, just now.
Is everything okay?
Huh? Of course. Hey, Ito, get to the gym now.
Huh, the gym, why?
The Light Music Club says they're about to do a rehearsal. It should be good footage for the cultural festival. Kurusu's expression froze, and suddenly it changed.
Mr. Wakui, is that what you heard?
This is the part where you have a choice. Yeah, that's right. What's up, Kurusu? You look so happy.
Oh, I seem happy to you.
Run.
I'm going now. You should come with me.
Oh, wait. Sensing a gathering storm of violence, Ito pushed Wakui out the door. Kazuki had looked up, but now she slammed her head back on the desk. I love that noise every time she does that. Now that she was all alone, Kurusu took out her phone and checked it. There was no message, of course. She sighed and looked at the board. That incident yesterday at the Love Hotel, whether it was murder or suicide, from the way Miyashiro and Onoe had looked when they had been taken by the police, something had happened. Miyashiro had said it was something to do with the incident 6 years ago. Now that it had happened 3 times, there was no ignoring it. I just skip one? What? She couldn't let him get more involved in this. She thought back to Ito's question about why Miyashiro was so interested in this case. That's a weird choice there. They split a sentence. Oh, yeah, they split a sentence in the middle in between those. Interesting pacing. Kazuki was still lying with her head on the desk. When she turned her head to the side, for some reason she looked like she was enjoying herself. When Kurusu saw that, she suddenly lost her desire to drink the coffee. Apologizing in her mind to Kazuki, she decided to pour it out at the water fountain. She headed to the upstairs water fountain, which was usually less crowded. She found herself looking down at the gaps between the tiles as the sound of her footsteps rang in her ears. She could tell that she was walking slower than usual. Essentially, Kurusu was lonely. She remembered what she'd said to Miyashiro when he woke up at the clinic.
I'm Kurusu Nono. Call me by my first name. We're family, so it would be weird to call each other by our last names, right?
He's such a prick. In the end, he
just wants to pretend that he's special.
She knew why, she supposed. The event that had caused him to leave the dorm was still bothering him. November 7th, 2009.
This way, please come this way.
I'm telling you, we can get around from the back. How many times do I have to...
Save us, someone. Why won't the phones work?
I wanted water. I could still feel the sensation of the dead woman I'd touched when I'd fallen on my hands, and I wanted to wash it off. I wanted to wash my face, too. The wind from the flames had blown something small into my eyes, and it itched badly. I was thirsty, too. Sarika was on my back and showed no signs of waking up. Damn it. My legs were at their limit, so I forced my way through the crowd and sat down on a tire that had rolled nearby. It smelled like burning rubber. I didn't have the energy to apologize to the people I ran into, and they didn't have the energy left to complain. I slowly brought Sarika to rest on my knees and looked around. I saw an orange light. The light of the fires reflected off so many things. It was pretty, I thought, before I realized how inappropriate that was. For some reason, I started to count the bodies on the ground, not knowing if they were alive or dead. But in less than 5 minutes, I'd gotten way over 10 and realized how futile it was. I stopped. Shibuya Station was utterly destroyed. The 107, only a few minutes away by foot, was ruined as well. 5 whole hours after the earthquake, the chaos had only increased. There were fewer people out walking, but I wasn't sure if that was because they'd reached safety or simply collapsed from exhaustion. I saw someone carrying his own severed arm in a convenience store bag. I saw people ignore a barefoot woman as she cradled a baby whose head was smashed in. Some had outright given up on sanity and were flinging things into the fire. Right? A group of middle-aged salarymen were dragging a young girl into the darkness. A young man went to join them. This is hell. There was no other way to describe it. This was hell. Sarika moaned a little in my lap. Why does Sarika look older in this image than she does in her current sprite when this was 6 years ago? I slapped her cheeks to wake her up. Onoe? Onoe! Her face distorted in agony. It was okay. She was breathing. She was okay. Yeah, exactly. I can't tell if it's the way the light is reflected, like at the angle that the light is coming, because it's the fire that's giving this light, so it's coming from like a direct side angle, or if it's actually the way it's drawn. But her tits look bigger too in this image. This is how retro copes with loss. We're heading to Yoyogi, okay? You know that big general hospital? You remember, right? We snuck in there once when we were little. What do you mean when we were little? You're still little. You're like 12. The fuck you talking about? Little. Instead of answering, she just moved her eyebrows a little. I swore and lifted her up on my back again. She didn't seem to be that badly hurt, but this kept happening. I read on Twippo that the General Hospital in front of Yoyogi Station was accepting patients injured in the earthquake. I didn't know that it was true, but I had no choice but to go. It had to be better than the hell that was Shibuya. Don't die. I yelled, unsure if Sarika could even hear me, and started walking. I just needed to get to the hospital.
Was that Rimi? That was Rimi, right? That hair was way too long. That wasn't Sarika. That had to be Rimi. And that was the same way they tortured Fess to bring out her powers as well. So presumably that's how Rimi's Gigalomaniac powers were also brought out. Rimi was the true end girl in Chaos Head. That was definitely Rimi, though. The hair was way too long to be Sarika. That hair was long enough to go from the chair to the floor. He's goddamn it, and like, you're not wrong, but you're wrong. What the fuck, Takaru? I leapt up. I quickly glanced to the left and right as I tried to calm my racing heart. I saw that I was on my own bed. I felt exhausted. I also felt really thirsty. Maybe it was because I'd had that dream again. I searched around until I found the bottle of water by my bedside, took a gulp, and then grabbed the phone off my bed to check the time. It's a new day, huh? It was around noon when the police had let me go from Shibuya Station with a warning. I'd gone home and gone straight to bed, so I would have been out for more than 12 hours. This was no good. Maybe I'd slept too long, or maybe I hadn't slept enough, because my head felt like it was filled with lead. No, maybe not. I put my hands up to the thin light that was coming through the window and checked their color. They were the same as always. There was no blood on them. So why is Takaru having dreams about presumably Rimi having her powers awoken? Huh. God, I wish I had just played Chaos Head, because I feel like I'd be able to formulate some sort of theory if I had played it, you know, not 6 months ago. Oh, shit, wrong button. That was actually just entirely an accident. I didn't mean to press the button at all. Ugh. I felt like I felt a little like throwing up. Playing Noah would also help, probably. I hoped another drink of water would help, but it didn't. Did Noah come out before Chaos Child or no? I don't remember. Damn it. Thought for a moment, then decided to turn on the room lights.
Kind of funny. It's probably going to be the last science adventure game you play. At this rate, yeah. No, I'm sure Noah will finish its fan translation before Anonymous Code gets an English release. Or the new Steins Gate that's coming out. Noah's released in 2009, I think. I have no idea when this was released, so I turned on the laptop. I ran a search for urge to vomit, lessen food drinks. Cash Out was 2014. Really? The original release was only that long ago? Okay. That explains why there's such a massive difference, though, between Chaos Head and Chaos Child's artwork. We were joking earlier that the artist who did the sprites in Chaos Child versus the sprites in Chaos Head had a major level up between the two games because it's the same artist for both. And I mean, you've seen both sprite sets, Chase. There's a massive uptick in quality between Chaos Head and Chaos Child. The internet gave me page after page of results. I checked a bunch of pages just like you're supposed to when you're looking something up. Ginger, huh? I guess I've got that Kakonto that Gen gave me. I looked under the sink until I found the Kakonto powder that poured into a cup and added some hot water from the electric kettle. It had a strange smell, unlike anything I was used to. I took a sip. I could tell that my hands were shaking a little as I held the cup. God damn it all. It wasn't the first time I'd seen a body. I checked the phone again and saw that there were several messages from Serika and Kurusu. I went to answer, but stopped. They were probably still up, but I didn't feel like talking to anyone. I felt like the air I'd breathed in at the Love Hotel yesterday was still deep inside me, along with the cheerful melody of the music box and the red that covered my vision. I felt something strange on my cheek and put a hand up to feel it. It was a bandage. I'd gone to some kind of clinic at the police station where they'd put it on. They told me I must have hit my head hard on the floor when I'd passed out. I was unlucky enough to scrape my cheek against a piece of the shattered glass. Thankfully, it wasn't a big wound. It barely hurt at all. But it itched like hell. And each time it itched, the shock I'd felt came rushing back and quickened my pulse. The danger was long gone, but I still couldn't forget the terror. Had I almost been caught up in something horrible? No. I was fine. I was fine, right? I wasn't like everyone else. I wasn't an amateur. I'd gone through that hell I'd just dreamed about and survived. Okay. Maybe having that nightmare again was good for me. I managed to force down the urge to vomit, then clicked away at the computer. I opened my computer's TV program, changed the channel to a news program, and watched it on my monitor. A few months ago, I'd bought a USB TV tuner off a homeless guy who had no idea what it was worth. All it cost me was dinner at a local restaurant. Just like I thought, there was an article about the event 2 days ago. All they said was that a man's body was found in Dogenzaka Love Hotel. Scamming the homeless. Classic. Indeed. They didn't say whether it was suicide, murder, or just an accident. Yeah, he accidentally had metal cable tied around his neck in such a way that as the bed spun, it tightened and tightened and tightened until it eventually cut his head clean off his body. That definitely was an accident. I mean, okay, that's very similar to the way David Carradine died, so... Okay, not really, but they both died of being strangled to death in love hotels, so I mean, yeah, say close enough.
There was nothing about the girl who'd been found at the scene, or about me and Serica. I see. I figured this was what I'd get. I'd never experienced for myself the gap between what happened at a crime scene and what was reported on TV, but it didn't really surprise me. These days, the internet was a lot faster at reporting things than TV. To people who followed the news online, TV wasn't a place to learn new things. It was where you went to see if something you'd heard about was so important that it was getting TV coverage. What about the people online? I closed the TV program and opened a browser. Nikonia News had something on it too. I clicked on the uploaded video. Another incident has occurred in Shibuya. This makes for 3 strange incidents so far. Just like always, it was Watabe, the attention-seeking internet reporter. He was famous for charging into crime scenes to get scoops. Lately, he seemed to be getting a little too cocky. I don't think that that is something that you should be commenting on right about now, Takaru. I think you should probably keep your opinions about people who charge into crime scenes in order to get scoops probably to yourself. I'm just putting that out there. Feel like that's a little bit pot and kettle. He explained what had gone on at the Love Hotel as the video showed pictures that he'd probably taken himself. Either way, I think the police are hiding something. The only announcement has been that a body was found, but if that's all, then why would... And then, like always, he started to mix in his own subjective opinions with the news. He was right. The police were hiding something, but there was little point in listening to the rest of this. Vague information would just get in the way. This is all you can expect from the masses on the internet, I guess. I mostly ignored Watabe's voice as I looked at the video on the screen. He must have gotten it by charging into the hotel room. What the hell was all that? I thought back to what had happened. A man was strangled to death in his room. There was an unconscious girl and a police officer there as well. The girl was the most obvious suspect. Even if she chose a strange way to do it, she still must have killed him, right? No, if she had definitely killed him, then they would have announced that. She was arrested just like I was. Over 30 hours had passed. Even if they had found out she was innocent, they should have announced that. The police believe that the girl with him may know something and are proceeding with their investigation, like that. Do the police think that she didn't do it? Then what was she doing in that room? And even if the police had told me during the interrogation that I'd imagined it, I knew that what I'd heard. Someone else had visited that room and knocked on the door. The sound was eerie, and always had the same rhythm. Alright, I am starting to feel it. And we've been going for a little over 3 hours now, which is longer than we managed yesterday by quite a significant margin. So I think that would not be cool. I think we're going to save and end here.